What is up, you guys? It is Zach, and welcome back to my channel. Sorry for the relatively weird quality of the video. I don't have any of my recording stuff with me because I'm on holiday vacation. Wait, hold on, don't leave me. I'm joined by a guest. I got my cat with me today. We're chilling, and of course, some new SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake information got revealed. We got a new trailer. Well, it's not even a trailer. It's gameplay for Pirate Goo Lagoon. This level basically got completely shown off, and I will say before I actually go into the 15 things we learned about this level, it actually does kind of unnerve me because the gameplay footage is only 18 minutes long, but in the description it says that this is basically the entire level, so I really hope that the levels aren't actually this, like, short and really easy to complete. But nevertheless, you guys, we're going to be getting into the 15 things we learned about Pirate Goo Lagoon in SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake. The first thing I want to point out is that the music is really good on this level. I'll give you a little listen so you can get a little sample of what the music in this level is like. Number 2, the main objective is to collect the Flying Dutchman's socks and return his ship back to him, almost like his objective in Battle for Bikini Bottom. These socks are used as little sails and flags that you can raise, you know, to get the attention of Prawn, which actually is my next point, that Prawn is the main enemy of the level. He is the one who stole the Flying Dutchman's ship, and he is the one that is, you know, behind all this mayhem. Which is pretty cool to see Prawn come back from Battle for Bikini Bottom. Really cool to see Prawn getting some love. The one thing that sucks, though, which is the fourth point, is that Prawn's battle is basically just an enemy gauntlet. You don't really fight Prawn directly at all. You just have to defeat all the enemies on Prawn's ship, and that's it. You defeat Prawn. Now, the fifth point is about some new enemy types that we see in this gameplay. The first of which is a really small enemy that kind of charges at you, and if it misses, it gets stunned, and that's when you can attack them. The second one I noticed is like a box that looks like almost like a sponge, and it kind of floats around, and when you get under it, it tries to crush you underneath it. And then lastly, but the most interesting enemy type, is one that reminds me of the Chuck robot from Battle for Bikini Bottom, where they throw projectiles at you from far away, but you can also deflect back at them. Now, of course, you can use your bubble attack on all of these enemies and capture them within a bubble, except for that Chuck-like enemy, because they have this lollipop in their hand that they will use to deflect your bubble so that you're not able to attack them. So even though the Flying Dutchman's ship was the main thing taken, the main thing you have to retrieve, another thing that got taken was SpongeBob's house. Like, SpongeBob's actual house was taken by Prawn. So once you get the Dutchman's ship back, you also get SpongeBob's house back, which is what you wish back to the main world from Cassandra and the Magic Bubble Wand. Which leads to my next point. In the very beginning of this gameplay segment, you see the hub world, but the hub world is completely flooded, and it looks like you don't really get access to a lot of things because there's all this water everywhere. So part of me is wondering if Pirate Goo Lagoon is the first level you actually play in. My thinking is maybe not, mostly because of how many different enemy types there are, because usually, you know, more enemies get slowly, gradually introduced to you, but this level seemed to have a bunch of different enemy types, so this might be a later level, but that's for us to speculate, and we won't know until we get more concrete information. So one thing people have been kind of wondering about a little bit are those purple rings that we've seen in screenshots and trailers from the past. Well, it seems like we finally know what they do. If you glide through those purple rings, they will give SpongeBob a little bit of a boost while he's gliding, as well as refilling up his stamina meter, which, yes, he has a stamina meter while he's gliding, so he can't just glide forever. He can only do it as long as, you know, the circle is filled, kind of like in Breath of the Wild. Next up, the amount of hits an enemy takes is now displayed on the top of their head. So those big bathtub enemies, for instance, they take 3 hits. Like, you need to seemingly wait until they do their attack phase, and then you can attack them once, and then rinse and repeat. Okay, so number 10 is actually kind of a big one. Now, we don't really know what platform they play this on, as they don't really specify it, but I think I can wager a guess. Given the buttons that we see on screen, for certain button prompts for SpongeBob, as well as the performance overall, I'd honestly wager that this might be the Nintendo Switch version of the game. Because the main thing in my mind is that the Xbox version, I'm pretty certain they had the colors of the Xbox buttons, for example, green for A, red for B, etc. I believe they had that in the interface, where the Switch version, it was all white. So I do believe that this is the Nintendo Switch version. Now, I will say, performance-wise, it seems actually pretty okay, but there was one part of the gameplay, which I'm playing for you right now, where there's a bunch of pop-in. It seemed a little bit not great. I really hope Purple Lamp take the next month to really polish this out before it comes out, because we don't want another rehydrated situation where people were so unhappy because of all the bugs and glitches and everything in the game. Like Purple Lamp, make sure it's completely good. Just please. Next up, Leedle is back from Patrick. That is all. That is the point. It's back, and I love it. There's also a reference to being sun-bleached, like in that one episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob was trying to get a tan. Well, SpongeBob does mention being sun-bleached, and like I said, it's a real cool callback to that one episode. Next up, the NPCs in the level actually talk to you. They actually, give you little commentary and stuff. And even when you attack them, like if you hit an NPC, they will actually say something to you, unlike in Battle for Bikini Bottom, where they would just do their silly little animation and not say anything at all. Now, many people have pointed out that there's one enemy in this game that looks like the Appetizer from that one episode where, like Squidward's trying to make the Krusty Krab a really fancy restaurant, whatever. But what's really interesting about that Appetizer enemy is that it seems like it could spawn other enemies. It could spawn the smaller fodder enemies. So I'm guessing this is going to be basically the game's Duplicatatron, where whenever you see one, you kind of go into a little enemy gauntlet, and once you defeat the little Appetizer thing, the enemies will stop spawning. Which I think is really interesting, because it seems like with, all the different combat things we're seeing in this game, the amount of enemy gauntlets we're seeing, the amount of defeat the enemies before you move on kind of things, it really does seem like this game is focusing a lot on combat, which I think is an interesting choice, because the movie, I think, tried to do that with the combat arena challenges and all that kind of stuff, and that's one of the things that people really didn't like. So I'm kind of curious to see, what their thought process is here. Now, the moveset is different. You definitely have a very more varied moveset, but I'm still not sure if people are going to gravitate towards this more combat-focused game. And the 15th point is that Patrick is trying to impress Cassandra, kind of like he tried to do with Mindy back in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. It seems like Patrick has a type. There's actually one bonus point that I'm going to give you guys, is that we see a lot of these slingshots that SpongeBob uses. Basically, it seems like these are the things that get him to go to different sections of the level that are too far for you to just platform to regularly. Think of these like Patrick's teeter-totters, where you use these teeter-totters to get Patrick to a really far away place that you won't be able to access without using those teeter-totters. It's kind of like that. So there you have it, guys. Those are the 15 new things we've learned from Pirate Goo Lagoon. I think this level looks pretty interesting. It definitely doesn't scream amazing to me. I honestly thought it would lean a little bit more into the pirate stuff, but I don't know. This is probably the first level that I'm not overly impressed with yet. I really expected a little bit more from this level, and especially given that the description says this is nearly the entire level, I'm really hoping that there's more to this level, and I'm really hoping that there's more to these levels in general. Because one main thing I am starting to notice is that there doesn't seem to be a main collectible. It just seems like you gotta complete the objectives, which in this level was get the Flying Dutchman ship back and SpongeBob's house back to the hub world. And I'm not sure how I feel about that approach, because A, that does make all the levels pretty linear, which is something a lot of people have complained about. The linear levels aren't much of a problem for me, but what it does seem like, especially with this level, is there's not many branching paths. There's not much exploring you can do. It's very much, okay, you've got to do this. You've got to get all of these socks, that are in these set locations. You're on this straight path. Then you got to continue the straight path, get to the ship, defeat all these enemies, and get the ship back. Not that it looks bad. Not that I think it doesn't look good. But this level just seems to be just the most uninteresting to me. And it's a shame, because this is the one they kind of held back, and we're getting this big explosion of footage for, and I'm just personally not too impressed with it, personally. But What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you all have to say. And, yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff down below. Hit that notification bell so you're notified of when I upload videos. And check out the merch store. There's some cool ZakPak merch up on there for you to check out. And until next time, you guys, I'll see you all in the next video.